up some points. Again, kind of with what Beyonce said, more with what Chad said about the clientele, which is that, you know, you're not helping any prostitute because their clientele is going to be the same. They could get hurt in some way. And because Americans are lazy, or people in general are lazy, they're going to go with the easy route and not get tested. Well, I don't know about you, but when it comes to my health, I'm going to choose the best. So I'm going to go to the prostitute that requires testing, that requires protection in any way, because I don't want my junk to be where some other dude's junk has been, especially if his junk has warts. So, basically, just because a prostitute doesn't require testing, that's not going to make it more enticing to anyone. If anything, that's going to be a deterrent. And same way places that require licenses, have you heard of a movie theater, Chad? I'm pretty sure you have. They require identification for R movies, which are generally better than not rated R movies. So of course I'm going to go to the R movie rather than the PG-13 of some stupid action movie that's lame because they say yippee-ki-yay mother, then they shoot the gun so you don't hear motherfucker, for whatever reason. So, tangents aside, I think that the clientele will change, and it's not going to be some weird schniveling guy in a giant trench coat and a fake mustache who looks like he's that dude from The Lovely Bones, and he's going to rape this prostitute. No, it'll be any sort of person who wants to come in, normal people like you and I. And it brings me to the next point about what Montana said about how people are going to be, they're not going to be bragging that they went to the prostitute. Are you familiar with what the word stigma means? Because something is illegal, that's why there's a stigma. So of course you're not saying, oh, I went to a prostitute, because that's illegal and it's kind of disgusting because they don't require testing. So therefore, if we eliminate that stigma by legalizing it, eliminate the stigma of homosexuality by legalizing gay marriage, then it will cease to be an issue. And we can celebrate prostitution, people living vicariously through, you know, sex and primal urges and self-satisfaction for liberty and justice for all, and it'll be a beautiful America for everybody.
In my opinion, I think prostitution should be legalized, I guess, because like, I'm not gonna say it should be legalized just so people can go have sex with each other. Like, I'm just saying that it should be legalized because, like, the way like I see things, like I believe that like if someone wants to do something, then they should have the right to do it. Like what you guys are saying, like liberty and all that stuff. Like, I don't know what too much of that stuff means, but like I don't know. If someone wants to do something, like they should be able to do it. Like no one should like some laws like. I think they like go too far, you know? Because like I don't think everything needs to be like regulated and I think it should be legalized, you know? Because like I think if someone has like their own intentions to go have sex with someone else for money, then let them do that. Like as long as it's not harming someone else other than the person that's doing it, I think it should be fine because it's like their own intentions to do it. So.
That's being that in many religious texts, like the Bible and the Quran, women are not considered people, but they are considered property. And when you have sex with a woman, you're defiling another man's property. And also, I'd just like to, I think it was over here, you said, like, you said there would be there's stigma against it, people won't want to go do it, and then Anthony rebutted you. I'd just like to say, if prostitution were legalized, I would tweet, going to the prostitute, hashtag getting some, hashtag YOLO, hashtag sweat.
My name's Jose, I'm a sophomore. Yeah, you want to shut up? A couple pros. I think that we could tax prostitution, just make money, because obviously we're kind of in a deficit right now, so if you can make money, anything helps. Everybody keeps talking about health risks, like they could be avoided if, you know, we legalize it. I'm sure the FDA or something would, you know, make the clients and workers regularly tested, just in case they don't have the STDs. And also, I feel that rape will be on the decline because instead of a predator stalking some girl, he knows that sex is convenient to him just because he'd go to like a clinic or something and just, you know, do what he needs to do, and then an innocent girl isn't raped. So, yeah, that's basically it.
Who? He's been holding his hand up for a long time. Oh, okay. All right, first off,
just want to address John here because he thinks that I just like hate women and want to talk for them because they don't have a voice for themselves, and that's not what I meant to say at all. And thanks for trying to debase my ethos, but it's not going to work this time. I actually love women, and I just want to stand in defense of them along with actually being a moral person. Now, you also said, John, that the reason why prostitution is illegal is because these biblical texts that treat women like property. You know, that sounds like, to me, if I only heard those words, I would definitely be like, you know what, let's legalize prostitution. That seems like something old and something from not something I want to really believe in because, you know, women are not property, they are people. But yes, they are people. So why do we want to sell them off? Why do we want them to sell themselves off? Why do we want to give them their right? The government is supposed to protect you from certain things. Lanier brought up a point. He said, you know, if someone wants to do it, it's their right to do it. And for most things, it is their right to do it. But if you want to go with that logic, it's also my right to do meth. It's my right to do cocaine. It's my right to jump on the freeway and get ran over. Those are all my rights, but because the government sees that that's probably not the best idea, they prevent me from doing it. And that's why the government is preventing prostitution from being legal. Because prostitution is not something that we want on our moral conscience. Because the government of the people, by the people, is reflective of us. And what does it say about us if we condone prostitution as a profession? Now, Björn made a good point. He said, yes, if we legalize it, how will we know the prostitutes that are licensed and the ones that are not licensed? How do we know the prostitutes that are in illegal trafficking and the ones that are on their own accord? You want the truth? The truth is, we don't know. If I walk down a boulevard and I saw one girl here and another girl here, for all I know, that one's being trafficked and that one's on her own accord. I don't know. And that's the thing. It muddies the waters here. And it actually helps criminal enterprises be able to actually continue bringing in money from prostitution. Now, one last thing. TJ said that, you know, it's, like I said, our right, and that's all I'm talking about, is saying that, you know, sex trafficking is so bad, let's stop it, because this is going to, you know, make sex trafficking continue on, and it's going to perpetuate it, and that's bad, I don't care about anything else. That's not true. Sex trafficking is terrible. It's not bad, it's terrible. Have you ever seen Taken? I mean, I just love that movie because, you know, Liam Neeson's a kick-ass. But, nonetheless, the terrible things that are happening to these women. And then, you know, prostitution happens with men. These gigolos out there being abused. There are. And even though, why are we not stopping that? Why do we turn the other head and say, oh, well, it's their right to do that? Well, I'll tell you one thing. If my friend TJ here wants to jump off the bridge, I'm not going to say it's his right to do that. If he wants to snort coke, I'm not going to say it's his right to do that. If he wants to go and prostitute himself, I say that's not his right to do that.
Okay. Hi, my name's Ashley. I'm a freshman here. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Oh, you brought up a somewhat good point, I guess, that you said rape would cut down if you legalize prostitution. Obviously, you don't know the difference between prostitution and rape, because I have it right here. Prostitution, the practice of engaging in sex with someone for payment. Rape, the act of forcing a person to have sexual intercourse without them knowing, basically. Prostitution, you're getting paid for what you do. Rape, you're forcing someone to do it, not paying them. You're not going to come up to them and say, I'm going to pay you so I can rape you. No, you're forcing them without payment. So, I'm done.
Alright, so I'd like to start, I mean, we're hearing a lot of stuff about like women's rights and shit, and that's all cool, but this isn't going to be a gender-specific business. I mean, if any man, thanks Byung, or wants to get in on this franchise, they're more than welcome to. I mean, we had a reference earlier about one individual doing another individual and filming that and then selling it to another individual. And there are all men involved. So if that's what we want to do, then this is obviously going to be an enterprise in which men are allowed to get into. And people have been bringing up, like, some people will avoid doing this because of public scrutiny. And someone brought up that they probably won't be scrutinized because it'll be legal then. But I mean, that's not going to make it any less of a lonely or depressing act to go into a building and pay some broad to do you. I mean, there's going to be people keeping an eye on these places to see if prominent figures go in, mayors, you know, senators, stuff like that. Because if they see Kim Calvert walk into a what have you, a brothel, thank you, and come out, they're not going to be like, oh, well, he was definitely in there for a cup of tea. No. God knows what Mr. Calvert was doing in there. Let's cut his name out of this, by the way. I mean, this is freedom, guys. Like, we need to be allowed to do what we want with our bodies. Byung went off about like life, liberty, and all that stuff. And I agree with that, because if this is how you want to make money, maybe you're just not an intelligent human being. You don't have much to give to the life, give to society, other than your vagina and or penis. So that's what you have to give to the world, is that. And that's the only way you can really profit and bring in the Benjis. I mean, if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. And we need to stop talking about the sex trade, because that's not our concern whatsoever of this debate topic. TJ brought that up. It's not what this is about. This is about prostitution, not the sex trade. Sure, there are some moments where they intertwine, but that's a whole other story. That's like the upper levels of the government that need to deal with that. All I'm saying is, let women and men do what they want to do with their bodies.
My name's TJ, I'm a senior. And now you brought up how there was the clear difference between rape and prostitution. What he was saying was that instead of someone going out and raping an innocent person, they can go and get a service from a prostitute instead of committing that act of crime, so it would bring down the rape rate. Although legalizing prostitution might not be the best idea, because what's the plan for legalizing prostitution? We have to have a good plan to legalize it. I haven't seen a good plan for how we can legalize it and mandate it, because there are STDs and AIDS and all those diseases, and we don't want to continue spreading them. But yes, everybody has rights, but we need a good plan first.